So it's just the same bit that we read before. With that discussion right into the forefront, I'm going to sit down and blah, blah. Chaos Q&A. Okay, here we go. Let's get into it. Why are the 4 new legendary lords considered warriors of chaos? With this being the first Warriors of Chaos Lords pack since 2015, we wanted to reintroduce this iconic race in a way that was befitting of their infamous world-ending reputation. To that end, introducing 4 legendary lords, each of whom is aligned with one of the 4 Chaos gods, was a flavorful way to start, particularly given that we've already have 2 undivided lords in the form of Archeon and Kolek. Beyond the flavor that each champion could bring to this Lords pack, we found that several design elements align exceptionally well with the revamped Warriors of Chaos mechanics. For instance, the vision for Azazel was that he's been sent out into the world to find and lure promising undivided champions into devoting themselves to Slaanesh. He's basically an evil talent scout, a role implied as far back as Morkar the Uniter, who may have been persuaded along his path to become the first ever chosen way back in the days of Sigmar. There's a nice shot of Azazel. For some characters, it would have been hard to find a niche for them in the Monogod's roster. Vesta's a good example here. He's a durable Lore of Nurgle spellcaster who's a master of brewing plagues. But how do you make him interesting alongside Kugath, who's better at all of those things in addition to throwing exploding Nurglings? The answer? Put Festus in the Warriors, and you've immediately got a combination of features that's entirely unique. Finally, this approach allowed us to push the quality of the pack far higher than we could have otherwise. Having a whole team laser focused on a shared feature set meant that every single playtest improvement, bug fix benefited all the characters rather than just one. It needs to be stressed though that even in this context, our goal was to create 4 Warriors of Chaos experiences that feel like Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and Tzeentch, much in the same way that Wolfheart and the new Volkmar feel like Empire factions, even though they don't share the same mechanics as Karl Franz. These are true hybrids, drawing a ton of flavor and gameplay from their relevant Dark God. They'll be fully capable of running armies that will look very much like the ones you'd see when playing the relevant god-specific race, but with Dragon Ogres. Where does this leave the Monogod races of Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, and Tzeentch? It's important to state the new DLC characters existing within the Warriors of Chaos race does not prevent us from adding mortals to the Monogod roster. This is something we have to confront on a DLC by DLC basis. In some instances, mortal characters might fit better alongside the demon-focused roster or the Monogod mechanics. In others, the roster might end up wildly different. This bespoke feature sets more appropriate to a given faction. Don't worry, there are plenty of exciting characters who will be joining the Monogods in the future. It's also worth stressing that this pack will still massively transform the Monogod playstyle. In some cases, their rosters are almost doubling in size, with each god gaining a new hero and 2 lords to lead their armies, topped off by the ability to convert mortal lords into demon princes. Even older heroes are getting updated, with cultists now riding the new war shrines into Battle as mounts, combined with a ton of balance changes and new Immortal Empire starting positions. We're pretty sure Monogods will offer a ton of fresh new experiences. So I think it had been sort of confirmed before that the Monogods were going to be getting some of the units from the Warriors of Chaos expansion. They've basically just definitely confirmed that their rosters are basically doubling in size. So for the Slaanesh Monogod roster, we can definitely expect Slaanesh to get the new Marauders of Slaanesh, the new Warriors of Slaanesh, the new Chosen of Slaanesh, the Shrines of Slaanesh, because they said that the cultist heroes ride them, so I assume that they'll get the Shrines as a unit as well. They also said that they'll be getting 1 new hero. So I think it's like so Khorne will get the Khorne Warrior. I think it's sort of set it like for the Chaos Warriors earlier, but I assume it'll be similar for the Chaos Monogods as well. So Khorne will get the Warrior hero, Tzeentch and Slaanesh I think will get the caster hero, and we'll get the Warrior hero. And then for the Lords, it said that they get 2 Lords, doesn't it? Didn't it? Each god will getting a new hero and 2 Lords to lead their army. So that's weird, because what are the 2 Lords that they get to lead their army? Because they'll all get the Chaos Lord, like the Chaos Melee Lord, and then Slaanesh, Tzeentch, and Nogod can get the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, but Khorne can't get the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, can they? Maybe they're going to give Khorne like an extra Lord. Maybe they're going to make a new extra special bespoke like non-caster extra Lord for Khorne. But yeah, it's interesting. And yeah, so they've confirmed that the Demons of Chaos are going to go up to having 3 heroes instead of 2 for each faction. And I hope that it doesn't necessarily confirm it. I hope that means that the you did see me laugh. I hope that means that that conversely the Warriors of Chaos are going to get at least 1 hero from the Demons of Chaos roster, bringing them from 2 up to 3 as well. But yeah, I'll have to wait and see, I guess. Why are there 2 Slaanesh Legendary Lords in the Warriors of Chaos? With hindsight, everything is much clearer. It's fair to say that if Sigvald hadn't already been in the game since 2016, he would have undoubtedly been the Slaanesh champion in Azazel's place. Beyond that, we wanted to ensure that all 4 of the Dark Gods had representation within this pack in order to provide you with a larger variety of Legendary Lords to play at launch. Plus, we really like the Swiss Army knife dynamism that Azazel brings to the roster. They seem to really like calling Azazel a Swiss Army knife. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I think it's just because he's a caster and he's also a melee lord. Ultimately, our aim has been to ensure that both Slaaneshi Lords offer a distinct playstyle. Azazel is a Demon Prince. He has a narrower choice of units to recruit from, solely focusing on Undivided and Slaaneshi units, while Sigvald has the potential to branch out into units from all 4 Pantheons and Undivided. That's not to say you'll see Sigvald leading an army of screaming Khornate Berserkers or festering Nogod worshippers due to the Dark Authority system below. Sigvald's own personal retinue will maintain a distinctly Slaanesh flavour, and he'll need to do some delegation to others to efficiently maintain units devoted to other gods. So even though there's only one Lord in the Slaanesh race, you've got 3 very different ways to play a Slaanesh themed campaign. Yeah, that's cool. How do the unit roster? Yeah, I'm wondering. I guess I wonder if it's gonna explain later on. But yeah, like what's this Dark Authority system? I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna explain below. How do the unit rosters work in a campaign? Well, the Warriors of Chaos can eventually access a truly vast array of mortal and demonic units. It's not just a case of constructing specific buildings and spewing out multicolored units. Much like the lore, you'll have to work hard to amass the forces of multiple gods, and certain characters will find it easier or more difficult than others. Every unit in the roster is treated as either a warband unit or a gifted unit. Okay. Warband units are your bread and butter, consisting of mortal humans as well as the bulk of the Undivided monstrous units. Almost all of them can be marked, and an act that devotes them to a specific god and turns them into a new unit with new visuals, stats, and even new voice lines. That you can't necessarily mark a unit right from the start. Gifted units are primarily demons, accompanied by a few specialist non-demonic units such as Hellcannons and Shaggoths, and are recruited by spending... Oh, so there's marked is different from gifted, right? Okay. So there's warband, marked, and gifted. So there's 3 different categories. So gifted are primarily demon units, accompanied by a few specialist non-demonic units such as Hellcannons and Shaggoths, and they are recruited by spending souls on chaos gifts. So that's the thing that we saw last time with the like the table where you can slot in your kind of like gift gems or whatever to give you certain benefits. What's the last blog called? Or maybe we should get that up as well so we can compare it. Get the name of it now. There's a cap on the number of these gifted units you can have in any given army. That is, unless you're Bellicor, who can recruit as many as he likes. Like marks, these options aren't necessarily available from the very start. In fact, specific conditions for unlocking these options is one of the key ways we're differentiating the individual factions. For example, Bellicor can recruit a whole bunch of gifted units from turn 1 onwards, but must unlock the ability to mark mortals in his skill tree. Okay, so he can get a bunch of gifted straight away, and he can get just basic bitch warband units like Marauders and Undivided units, but he doesn't necessarily have the ability to gift. So he doesn't necessarily have the ability to change like normal Marauders into Slaanesh Marauders or whatever to mark them. Sigvald can recruit Slaanesh mortals and demons from turn 1 onwards, but must wait to unlock other gods' forces, although he might struggle to keep Khornate units in check. Archeon can unlock the ability to recruit god-specific units and is best suited to access and lead forces that mix and match with a bit of everything. That's cool. Kolic will have the hardest time getting access to god-specific units, but he has an easier access to dragon ogres and dragon ogre shaggots. Okay, that's interesting. So Archeon and Kolic are both kind of undivided focused, but Archeon, well, it's like Archeon sort of starts undivided, and he embraces the undivided in terms of being able to access everything more easily, whereas Kolec's undivided but more focusing on undivided, I guess, like having less ability to get other stuff that's not undivided and more shaggles. On top of these special conditions, a Dark Authority system restricts which units you can include in any given army. God-specific units won't simply follow anyone. For example, if you want Nurgle followers or demons in your army, you'll need a Nurgle lord or hero in the army to keep them in line. Otherwise, they'll suffer from increased upkeep and reduced replenishment. And if you try to put Khorne units in an army with Slaanesh characters, or gods forbid, a wizard, you'll need to make sure there's a proper Khornate character present to balance things out. We really want to sell the idea of these warbands are perilous coalitions of rivals, forcing you, the player, to think carefully about your armies. That's cool. I mean, anything like this is always going to be kind of just annoying, because you'll have like tactical situations or strategic situations where you'll be like, I've got all these warriors, I need some hell cannons or whatever, or I need some cavalry or whatever, and then if you can't like recruit the type of unit that you need, then it's just like it's a restriction, that makes it harder basically. But having said that, it's way better than the old system of warband rivalry that they had in Warhammer 1, which basically just meant if two of your armies moved near each other, they'd both start taking attrition for no reason, which just really sucked, So this is still on the same kind of theme of trying to make it a little bit uncomfortable if you don't manage the things correctly, but instead of making it basically almost impossible to manage and you always get punished, it's just making it a lot more nuanced, I guess, and a lot less punishing by the sounds of it. So this actually sounds cool, and it's also a lot more thematic. It actually makes sense and is relevant to the different chaos gods and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Hot Monkey's not liking it. I don't know. I think it's okay. I was just pointing out that it's basically just a restriction. There's nothing good about it. Like this whole paragraph is basically just saying it's not. You might have thought it was awesome, but it's not that awesome because it's a bit less awesome because of this. But having said that, it's not terrible or anything. Like I don't think. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But it doesn't sound like it'll be terrible. And it'll be sort of interesting having to manage your heroes and stuff. One thing I hope though is that we can get easy access to hero capacity, because Warriors of Chaos had a really difficult time getting the hero capacity increased because you only have like one hero of each type per horde, and hordes were limited by growth and all that sort of shit. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we can get a lot of heroes. Forcing themed armies isn't that interesting. Well, it's not that interesting, but it's more interesting than it was in game one of just having every time your armies move next to each other, they take attrition. That wasn't interesting at all. It was just sucked, So this is like mildly interesting. And it's not like that bad. All you need to do is put a hero in your army. So you could have like a Nurgle army that can have as many Nurgle units as you want in there, and then you want to put a bunch of Khorne Berserkers in there or something. That's cool. You just put a Khorne exalted hero, exalted champion hero in there, and then everyone's happy, But if heroes are really limited and you can hardly get any of them, then it's going to kind of suck, because you might want your plague-ridden hero if they get plague-ridden heroes. I hope that they do get the demon heroes. That'd be really cool. You might want your plague-ridden hero in there to give you some heals. And then your hero, you already got a hero, so and you've already used up your hero for that army, But if you can get like 2 or 3 heroes per army without too much difficulty, that'd be cool. And honestly, I know I talk about heroes a lot because I kind of like the Hero Hammer gameplay quite a bit. Not to the exclusion of other stuff, but as a way to go, like sometimes you want to do more of a strategic historical type army. Sometimes you want to just go all out magic or Hero Hammer, but I think that if any race is going to be on that Hero Hammer path, like Warriors of Chaos should be it. Like Warriors of Chaos should have a lot of heroes, I reckon, because they're all about these heroes, these dark champions, So anyway, that's my little rant about, I hope we have a lot of hero capacity. Hey, Matthew Walton. Thanks a lot for the super chat, man. Let's try and keep it vaguely family friendly, though. You know, Matthew's just drinking too much Coca-Cola. Everybody, he's drinking the bubbles. The bubbles have gone up his nose. It's making him crazy. I hope you're having a good time, man. And hope you're with friends that are looking after you. Okay, let's get back to it. Thanks a lot, man. Very generous. Comparatively, the 4 DLC lords are almost akin to a sub-race within the warriors. Lords who are more closely aligned to their specific god and thus has limited in their access to the full suite of marked units in lieu of their patron god's specific units alongside the undivided. To accommodate this sacrifice, they instead gain a variety of specialist advantages. I couldn't really understand that paragraph, even as I was reading it. I was like, bleh. Comparatively, the new DLC lords are almost akin to a sub-race within the Warriors of Chaos. They are lords that are more closely aligned to their specific gods, thus they have limited access to accommodate this sacrifice. Okay, so they're just saying they're a bit more limited than like Kolek and Archeon, but they've got some extra bonuses. So the four new lords that we're going to get in the DLC, so it'll be Azazel, Festus, possibly Valkyr, etc. They can start making mortals and they can start marking mortals and recruiting demons from turn 1, and we'll find it both easier and cheaper to do. Okay, that's cool. They share a uniquely structured tech tree, about half of which is built for their particular faction, that allows for more specialization in god-specific units and mechanics. Okay, that's interesting. We haven't heard or seen anything about what the what the Warriors of Chaos tech tree is going to look like yet, I don't think. I don't remember seeing anything about their tech tree, did we? So, yeah, so I know we know that you need to, yeah, no, I appreciate the support, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, I don't think we've seen their tech tree, although they did see it mentioned that you needed to use tech tree unlocks to get more slots in your gift thing. What was the last blog called? I want to look it up, but I can't remember what it was now. It's like a Warhammer 3 blog, some kind. Dedicated factions blog? No. What's this one? What was the last one that came out? Roadmap? No, that's not it. What was it the Azazel one, or was there another one? There was another one after that, wasn't there? Like a Warriors of... Oh no, there was a Azazel blog and then there was a Festus blog, that's right. Was it this one? Yeah. So I just wanted to point, when we're talking about the gifts of chaos, that's this interface here that we saw in the Azazel blog. And yeah, I was just saying, I don't think we've actually seen the tech tree yet, but these things here, I think, are unlocked. These slots are unlocked with tech trees, and you get more options in here by doing different deeds, I think, or getting more souls or something. Yeah, so they get unique tech trees. They spread and benefit from their own god's chaos corruption, but are actively penalized by the corruption of the opposing god. Okay, so that's interesting. So, Melelo, not too keen on chaos? Oh, really? I love chaos. Warriors of Chaos are like one of my favorite factions in the game. I don't know if I'm going to love them as much as I love Empire in game, but I'm hoping I will. So they spread and benefit more from their own god's corruption, but are actively penalized by corruption of the opposing god. So, for example, if you're playing as Azazel, all your units will automatically spread Slanesh corruption, but Khorne corruption, if you go to a heavily Khorne corrupted area, you'll take penalties. But then that gives you an interesting kind of thing, because if you're playing as like Azazel or that other guy, if you're playing as Azazel, for example, you might have like a Khorne hero in your army, allowing you to put like marked Khorne units, like Khorne berserkers in your army. But then if you went into like a Khorne area, you know, and just say you take attrition or you get like -5 to your magic or whatever, then magic resistance or to your melee attack or whatever, then presumably your corn units would also get the penalty, even though they're corn units. So you wouldn't think logically that they should take any penalty from corn attrition, you know. So I don't know. I wonder how that'll play out. Maybe marked units will be immune to like attrition effects from their own faction or whatever, or negative effects from their own faction's corruption. That'd be quite clever and good if they did do that, but I don't know. We'll see if that's overlooked or not. They get access to their own gods, battle mechanics, and army abilities. There you go. So, some people were asking about the army abilities. So, I guess it's like, so this is just talking about the 4 new DLC lords. So, not Sigvald, you know, not Archeon, not Kolek, right? So, the 4 new god-specific Warriors of Chaos gods, they get their own god-specific units and mechanics, and they also get their battle abilities, battle mechanics, and army abilities. So basically, so Archeon and Sigvald are game 1 factions, so they presumably don't have army abilities, but Azazel and Festus, etc., they're like Warhammer 3 factions, so they do get army abilities, maybe. Well, we know they get army abilities anyway. It'll be interesting to see if they've made up some new army abilities, like undivided army abilities for Azazel and for Archeon and Kolek, though, because there is no like undivided abilities at the moment. Maybe they'll get like that mixture that like Legions of Chaos get, where you just kind of get like a random assortment of army abilities mixed together. Or maybe, like I said, maybe because they're sort of game 1 factions, they won't get any army abilities. But well, that answers that question. So the new DLC lords do get army abilities like any other Warhammer 3 faction. So that's interesting. They get versions of certain campaign features belonging to the main demon faction. For example, Festus can brew and spread plagues, but they are have slightly different effects to Kugat's. Yeah, they have slightly different effects, and he has less symptoms to choose from as well. So he doesn't have as many combinations as Kugat, and he's got slightly different effects on some of his symptoms. There's also a ton of other variations we made were appropriate. For example, vassals belonging to the DLC lords will take on certain attributes from their masters, spreading their favored corruption and gaining thematic bonuses in battle. They've even got unique ways to keep their troops in line. Festus, for example, can get more Nurgle authority by bestowing his armies with plagues, making it easier for him to put Nurgle troops in undivided led forces. Okay, so you can have like an undivided general, but put Nurgle units in it more easily. I thought the old lords like Sigvald and Archeon and Kolek got the marked units thing. I'm confused now. No, you're right, Mark. You're right, Brainman. Sigvald and Archeon and Kolek do get the marked units thing. I was talking about army abilities. So it's saying that the new DLC lords get the army abilities, you know, on the side of the screen when you go in battle, and you have to like cast a certain amount of spells with Zeech before you unlock those army abilities that you can cast on the battlefield. Or if you're playing a Slanesh, you have to... Actually, can't even remember how you do Slanesh's one. But I was just saying it hasn't confirmed whether Archeon and Kolek are going to get army abilities or not, but it's confirmed that the DLC lords definitely will. So that's cool. What else we got here? All in all, we've tried to make these 4 champions feel different from the rest of the Warriors of Chaos. Our dialogue engineers have even gone so far as to ensure that units in these characters' armies use different voice lines when led by one of the characters. You'll hear Marauders and Warriors of Chaos, warriors and chosen in Azazel's army shouting about their allegiance not just to Slanesh but to Azazel himself. Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. Have they done that? I don't know if have they done that before? Hey Millowan, all of this stuff seems like it's an effort to fight back the late game Autotide. No, I don't think it's... I think it's nothing to do with that. I think it's just an effort to make Warriors of Chaos as cool as they possibly can, so they can sell Warriors of Chaos DLC, you know? I think that... I'm not saying that they're not, you know, they're not aware of the Autotide or that they aren't going to make changes to address the Autotide, but yeah, I don't think that them bringing out the Warriors of Chaos DLC is anything to do with the Autotide. It's just them trying to like make a really cool DLC, you know? On top of all that, they also participate in a brand new campaign set in the Realms of Chaos map, which offers a dramatic narrative following the main game's Urson storyline. It's a nifty alternate take on the Rift system, one with more control in the lead up to a truly epic finale. Okay, cool. I wish they had said something about what it's like when they're in Immortal Empires, because we still haven't really, they've been just avoiding any information about Immortal Empires. It's just everything's about how they are in Realm of Chaos. What about Confederation? Okay. This is something a lot of people are interested in. Initially, the team were aiming for Archeon at a minimum to be able to confederate all of the Warriors of Chaos. However, there were some significant technical and balance issues that we were unable to resolve in the time we had to implement the rest of their feature overhauls. Given the technical issues, we were concerned that launching with Confederation could jeopardize the core experience of the Warriors of Chaos. As such, we chose to disable the option for the initial release of Immortal Empires. With that said, we know that this is important to you, and we'll be looking to enable some form of Confederation for the Warriors post-release patch. In a post-release patch. We'll talk more about how we'll accomplish that feature in the future. So that's cool. So yeah, I know the no Confederation thing did really upset a lot of people, and it definitely concerned me as well. I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out, and if it kind of feels kind of better almost, or more, if it kind of makes each playthrough maybe feel even more unique, because you can't just collect them all, you know? Like, there's something to be said about like when you're playing dwarfs in Warhammer 2, it sort of almost doesn't matter which faction you play after about turn 80, because you will have confederated all of the dwarves by then anyway, you know? It's just there's some slight variations, you know? So it's sort of like you're not really going to play back, you're not going to play like one dwarf faction and then back to back play another dwarf campaign. Most of the time you'll switch out for another race or something. Whereas with these guys with no confederation, you know, you could potentially play Sigvald, do all his things, not be able to confederate anybody else, and then go and play like Festus, you know, as your next playthrough, and have a, you know, unique stuff that you weren't able to get with Sigvald or whatever, you know. So I don't know, I was sort of interested to see how that would play out, and to see whether it did, like whether the no confederation actually was a plus in a certain way, like in that way of making them more unique. I don't know, I gotta admit, the idea that they are going to bring in confederation later on kind of makes me a bit relieved. Is this DLC for sale in Steam? I'm not sure if it's up yet, Simo. It's not out yet anyway. It comes out on the 23rd of August. So yeah, if it might be on Steam to pre-order, I'm not sure. It might be a bit too early. Still nearly a month away. But yeah, anyway, so now they're saying they are going to bring in at least some form of confederation. When they say some form of confederation, that makes me think they're probably not going to make it. It's probably not going to be normal confederations via diplomacy, where you just, you know, have to get a bit of good relations and be strong and have them be weak and all that kind of stuff, which is how you confederate like most normal factions. I'm guessing when they say, you know, confederation in some form post-release, I'm guessing they probably mean something a bit more like the Beastman type of confederation, where it's sort of like locked in a tech tree or in a special mechanic where you spend resources to unlock it or something like that, which I think would be cool. It seems like the Warriors of Chaos have a lot of like bespoke mechanics like that, like they have to invest in things, you know, to unlock stuff, and that, yeah, I'm hoping that's going to feel good and thematic in the game, but yeah, and I think it would be fine to do that with the Confederation stuff as well, probably. Coming soon. We hope this offers clarity on our design process. It helps you understand where our 4 newest legendary lords are landing with the Warhammer 3 roster. As mentioned before, there's still room for adjustments and changes, so we look forward to hearing what you think and when you get hands on them in August. Yeah, that's cool. You know, that sort of, there's still room for adjustments, and we look forward to hearing from you. I think that was a big criticism of the Warhammer 3 launch. From multiple parties, that you know, people felt like Creative Assembly didn't listen, you know, that they made the game too narrative focused, or just like all different stuff. Like different people had different complaints, you know, like maybe one of them was that they made the game too narrative focused, and people were saying they wanted to be more sandbox, and you know, they didn't, you know, there wasn't enough rewards from the Realm of Chaos, and what, you know, all this sort of stuff. And like, you know, a lot of people criticized that there was feedback was given, but it was ignored or whatever. Probably it wasn't ignored. They just had a limit to what they could do in the time frame. But but I think it's cool that with the new DLC that's coming out, you know, we're already seeing this much more agile attitude, you know, of things being able to be tweaked and changed, and you know, like at the last, even up until the last minute, to make sure that it lands well, lands well, you know, and also this little reassurance as well that, you know, even if it's not quite perfect at launch, we're already looking at what the next changes are going to be, you know, to make it how it should be, you know. I don't know about you guys, but like I just feel like everything's going to be okay, you know what I mean? I feel like it's all going to work out fine in the end. But anyway, I might just do a quick recap, and I'll read some more comments and stuff, and just in case I kind of missed anything that I think is important in this thing, and then we'll get onto the dwarf campaign. I've got in the background there, I've got a Warhammer 2 campaign where we've invaded Ulthuan, and we're about to start genociding on some elves. But we'll save that until after we've reviewed this one more time. I'll just have a quick look back through the comments again, see if I missed anything interesting. Excuse me. You're right, hero capacity was an absolute nightmare. Yeah, that's right. We definitely need some more hero capacity in the Warriors of Chaos this time. I hope that's one thing I hope they really have fixed, and like, yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a hero spam faction. You know, like the Dark Elves can just get like ridiculous amounts of master heroes. You know, the vampires can get, in Warhammer 2 can get like unlimited vampires. You know, I don't need that many heroes, though that I wouldn't complain. But if it was at least at kind of like, you know, at minimum, at least a dwarf kind of level where, you know, there's at least one hero type that you can get at tier 3 settlements, you know, or even better if there was some sort of way you could get extra hero capacity via gifts or something like that, like interacting with the chaos mechanics. I think that'd be pretty cool. Raymond said, rather have those changes than nothing or really bad ones. Yeah, I think it's definitely better than the original Warriors of Chaos. I think we can all agree on that. So, you know, it's definitely not worse. I've legit never seen Autotide in my games, or it's Grimgore Tide and Malekith Tide. Yeah, well, it's changed. It changes every now and again. You know, this is something I was talking about before. Like a lot of people talk about like the balance between the factions and stuff, but it's not really like that. It's not like there's an even playing field kind of, and all the factions are fighting it out or whatever. It's like there's like the CA manipulates the AI and the personalities of the different factions, and they manipulate their starting units and everything. So, you know, like, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a guy who does these like simulations where he just runs the game on like automatic, where all the factions are controlled by the AI, including the player's faction, and they just all do their thing, and you get to see how the map goes, and it'll just like keep running the simulation over and over again, like 1,000 times or whatever, so you can see, you know, how it goes. And you know, you'll see like certain factions tend to dominate their areas most of the time, but occasionally there'll be outliers where they lose and some other weird faction takes over and stuff like that. And like CA like tweaks all that stuff, you know, so if they're like, oh, Malekith keeps getting wiped, no, actually it's about example, who's gets wiped out, like remember Von Carstein? Like a few patches ago, Von Carstein used to always get wiped out, and like if you were trying to farm Isabel's trait, you could never get there in time, she'd always be dead. But then they just like tweaked some stuff around, then maybe changed the personality of a couple of factions, and so that maybe one of their nearby neighbors was not so aggressive, and you know, and then now like the Von Carsteins usually survive into the mid game. And there's just lots of examples of stuff like that, like the dwarfs, between the dwarves and Grimgore, you know, like in one patch, like the dwarves would dominate, and then next patch Grimgore would dominate and wipe out the dwarves like every time. And then like, I think now it's kind of a bit more balanced, although it's a bit more, Grimgore usually wins more in the early game. And then maybe the dwarves come back if they survive or something like that. I'm not really sure what the current balance of power is, but my point is, it's not like, I think how a lot of people think it's like something about like a balance between the different factions, but it's not really like that. It's like CA is like specifically setting up the AI factions to win and lose against each other, and it's nothing to do with it's not really much to do with how powerful those factions are when you play them as a player. It's totally different with the auto resolve values and stuff like that. You know, like, because if the dwarves were getting killed all the time by Grimgor, Creative Assembly could just make it so that like armor gets valued higher in auto resolve or something, and then the dwarves would start winning, you know, like all the time in auto resolve. It would probably screw up the whole rest of the game it's auto resolve, but you know, they could do that, you know, or they could just change like a particular unit, like make it so dwarf warriors get an extra bonus in, like just an extra mysterious bonus in auto resolve separate from their stats or whatever, you know, or you know, that kind of stuff, you know, or they could just give like AI Grimgor like one less starting unit, you know, when he's not, when the player's not playing him or the dwarfs, and you know, stuff like that. And then there's also the whole like anti-player bias, and they can make it so that different factions will like be more aggressive towards the player and the player's allies and blah blah blah. Anyway, sorry, I've harped on that enough. It would be interesting if Archaon could confederate all chaos for the Autotide factions late game. Yeah, I think so. And they said there that that's what they intended, that they did want at least Archaon to be able to kind of confederate everybody, because that's sort of thematic, like that's literally what Archaon does. I think somebody else said in a previous stream that the most appropriate thing for Archaon would be for him to have something like how the Orcs or Norska has, where if Archaon like defeats the legendary lord that leads a faction, then he should be able to confederate them the same way that Norska and the Orcs do. And I think that makes sense as well, you know, like if you know, Archaon meets up with Sigvald and he, you know, puts Sigvald on his face, then Sigvald should bend the knee and join the Everchosen kind of thing. So hopefully they'll do something like that for Archaon. I think that would be really thematic. Yeah, lore-wise that would kind of make sense. Yeah, for others they could do different mechanics for each different faction. I think that from what they're saying, I think that the Confederation will be different for each different faction. You know, there might be kind of like a standard chaos way, and then all the others are like variations on that. Like it might be a like the Beastman type of thing, where there's a section where you can invest currency to like unlock the Confederations, but you'll have different options for different factions. So, you know, for example, like if they did do it that way, then maybe Archaon would have every single chaos faction be possible for him to confederate via expending currency, whereas like Sigvald would only have access to like Azazel and Nakari for cheap price, and then he would have access to like, you know, some of the undivided factions as well at a like higher price, and then an even higher price for everybody else except for Valkyr and Skarbrand, which maybe he couldn't confederate at all no matter what he does, you know. And then Festus would have his own version of it, where Nurgle factions are easy to confederate, undivided and more expensive, and you know, whereas Be'lakor would have one where all of the demon type factions are really easy for him to confederate, but the mortal ones are a bit more expensive, or you know, so they could do something like that, or they could make it so that each faction has their own completely bespoke method. So Archaon has the, you know, Norscan bash their lord to confederate them thing. Sigvald has the spend currency to confederate them thing, and you know, so yeah, it'd be really interesting. That part's really interesting to me anyway. Confederation's always been one of my, you know, pet things, so definitely got my eye on that. If you play the bad guys, the good guys do well, vice versa. Yeah, there's that anti-player bias thing that kind of plays into it. Usually see Malekith do well until the Chaos Invasion happens. Yeah, I'll be interested that, yeah, Malekith's a good example because he's now got Grombrindal starting right next to him. So I think that, like, you know, so there's a potential there that Grombrindal could rush, like AI Grombrindal could rush AI Malekith, assuming you're nowhere near there. And, you know, Grombrindal could kill Malekith every game, and then the northwest corner of the map would be, as standard, would be a massive dwarf empire led by Grombrindal, and that would suck, right? That would not make any sense. It's like, why the fuck is Naggarond a dwarven stronghold, you know, in this fucking alternate reality of Warhammer, you know? I don't want, like, excuse me, like Total War Warhammer is, in a sense, it is an alternate reality. It's not like full canon of Warhammer, you know. It's sort of like a bit of a hazy rendition that drags in a few things. But even given that, yeah, thanks, Drew. Even having said that, like I want it to be fairly close to canon, you know. I don't want it to be completely whack and just unrecognizable, you know. And it would be if Nagaron was habitually conquered by Grimbrindle almost every game, that would be just wrong, right? So CA will need to like I was talking about before, the CA will need to like massage those auto resolve values and starting units and the you know, the attitudes of all of the local races and stuff. So I mean, like probably when Grimbrindle starts in the north there, all of the other factions around him will hate him, right? He'll be enemies with everybody except for like the Wood Elves will maybe be like neutral towards him. Like Katep, like the Tomb Kings will be maybe neutral towards him, but like all the Greenskins, Beastmen, Dark Elves, Norskins, all those dudes will hate him, you know. So most likely he'll get wiped out every single game, and that I'd be fine with that, you know. Or I'd be fine with it if he gets wiped out most games and like occasionally, just randomly as a really outlier, occasionally he actually wins. That'd be fine. I don't think Azazel will get marked units outside of Slanesh. That might be the case for other DLC champions. Well, it said specifically how that's going to work up here. Sorry, I did say I was going to go through it again, didn't I? I don't know exactly which part it was. Is it in here or is it down here more? Maybe it was in the first part about Azazel. So Azazel is like a specialist in turning undivided champions into Slanesh champions, basically. Yeah, it would. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, that would make sense that Slanesh wouldn't mark. Like, why would Slanesh mark dudes as like Khorne or whatever? Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that's the thing. Like, Azazel's going to be like the Slanesh specialist, whereas Sigvald's going to be like Slanesh focused, but still able to actually use everything like undivided. So yeah, that'll be cool. Hey, Yago, looks good to you? Yeah, it looks good to me too, man. If the Dowie got a massive underground movement system like the Wood Elves, then having strongholds in all four corners would make more sense. Yeah, I think that would be actually really cool if the Dowie did get like a world roots type mechanic. I think Indie Pride's a big proponent of this idea as well of making the world more connected in Warhammer 3 with you know, more with maybe portals or something like that. I'm really against the idea of general portal access. Like, I hate the idea of them putting the portals from like the Rift portals, I mean, from Warhammer 3 in Warhammer Immortal Empires. Like, if Immortal Empires had portals all over the fucking map and you could teleport from one place to another with quick travel and shit, that would be fucked. It wouldn't make any sense. It would be inappropriate, and you know, wouldn't make sense in the lore. It would change the whole way that the game operates, and in a way that fundamentally fucks with the whole like total war, you know, equation, you know. So I'm totally against that. But on the other hand, I think that like a lot of factions have these kind of bespoke movement things, like Oxyotls teleport, the Wood Elves world root tree teleport thing. Isn't there another race that does some sort of teleporting as well? Can't remember. And yeah, I'm kind of up for so yeah, I think Be'lakor is going to get the ability to do rifts in Immortal Empires as well. And I'm kind of up for the idea of, and oh yeah, and we've got the sped up movement of the sea lanes, right? That gives you some more sea lane stuff. And yeah, I'm up for like them adding more sea lanes, like maybe add another like 4 to 6 sea lanes, including some north-south ones going up the middle of the map, so that basically every faction has access to some sea lanes, you know, and then give a few more factions bespoke kind of fast travel stuff, but limited, like in the same way that the Wood Elves are, where you only go between like 4 separate spots on the map. You only do it once every 10 turns. You know, it's not like you can just zip around whenever you want. You can maybe have some factions that can be a bit more zippy, like how Oxyotl is. But I definitely don't want to be a general thing. Like, I don't want any of the Empire factions to have any rifting, portals, any of that shit. Like, Empire are all about guns, steel, and faith, you know? And, you know, not about teleporting portals, you know? So, yeah, like, I want some factions to be a bit more stodgy. I feel like Dwarves are one of those stodgy factions, but I feel like the underway thing does sort of make sense for them. Maybe you could have, like, land... Maybe you could have, like... maybe you can have sea lanes that are like go underground, like not sea lanes, but like land lanes, underway lanes or whatever. Like, I think the Dwarves have a special name for it, like special kind of highways that go from like one Karak to another. I think a lot of them have been broken and like collapsed and shit, but there might still be some left. Chaos Dwarves would have T4 underground train stations. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the Dwarves have like underway, like highway type tunnels, like big tunnels that go like far away places. But yeah, so they could do like the world route thing. Like they could do a world route thing, like with the world routes where you have to only go there every 10 turns and stuff like that. But I think that, like, honestly, after seeing the sea lanes, I think that the world routes mechanic is a bit shit. Like only being able to do it once every 10 turns and just with either one unit or one hero. Like, you can send a hero through the world routes, he teleports to the other place, and then you can't use the world routes for anyone else for 10 turns. It doesn't, like, logically doesn't make any sense, you know? And also it's instant. Like, what the fuck's going on there? Is it like a magical teleportation portal, you know? Like, I think that they should change the world routes so they're like sea lanes, where you go through the world routes, you know, you spend like 4 turns traveling by the fast world route methods, and you get like 20 turns away. But you still have to spend like 4 turns moving there, you know? And yeah, I think that would be a good... Yeah, maybe having world route, underway world route, sort of like the same as the sea lanes. You go in, spend a few turns, travel really far. They could do the same thing for dwarfs. Give them like a underway, you know, world routes type thing, but not like an underway sea lanes type thing that goes underground. Skaven obviously could use the same thing, and I don't know. Yeah, just maybe you could have and maybe there could be some more things like more of the world routes method. Maybe I don't know. I can't really think of anything lore appropriate right now, but I don't know, maybe like Marathi can use like dark magic to open like chaos portal or whatever, but she only do it once every so often, and she has to, you know, sacrifice heaps of dark elf virgins or something. So yeah, anyway, my point is, like, I don't want to have a general rift system like as in Warhammer 3. I think that that was really cool to have in Warhammer 3 as like a unique thing to make that game different, but it's just not appropriate for Immortal Empires, for the real Warhammer world. But I think having a lot more factions, having their own limited bespoke fast travel things, that would actually be a good idea. Instead of underway, make it overway with the dwarves shooting themselves across the map in cannons or gyrocopters. That sounds good, Krisha. Should do that. The back passage. No, they don't call it the back passage. It's not right. In Undred Angkor in the Dawi tongue, which means underway. Yeah, no, I know it's called the underway, but I thought there was like I thought there was some mention of like big highways or something. Like, you know, part of, like, it's not just normal underway, but like the underway is made up of lots of ways, right? And I thought, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm confused. But anyway, I just thought I remembered some mention of like big underway kind of highways, and then like maybe they were just called the underway, and then but sometimes most of them were collapsed and like hard to navigate and stuff like that, so they weren't as fast and good as they used to be. The Under Expressway, exactly. Yeah, so Azazel's going to be very Slaneshi. I think that's sort of the theme. Like, all of the 4 champions that are coming in the DLC are going to be like very focused on their own monogod, whereas Sigvald's a bit less focused on his monogod. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I really want to find out whether we get extra heroes in the Warriors of Chaos roster or not. We haven't got any army lists yet, have we? I wonder when we're gonna get the actual unit lists. Dominic says, please no, sea lanes are there to get you from one side to the other. Any more would make overseas travel trivial. Teleports in should be in game for a reason like world. Well, no, the point I was making, Dominic, is that sea lanes are not teleports. Sea lanes are like it takes you like it says it takes a few turns. So I'm guessing it's somewhere between 3 and 5 turns, and it takes you between 3 and 5 turns to travel about as far as you could probably travel in 6 to 8 turns. You know, so it's not a teleport. It's just like it's just as if like, you know, you have to sail out into the middle of the ocean where the strong winds are, and then if you travel out in the middle of the ocean, you can go like twice as fast over the sea because of the good winds or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that kind of stuff would be good. I'm not talking about putting them like everywhere, but just having, I think like instead of having four sea lanes, there should be maybe at least 6 to 8. Because at the moment it's like the point of the sea lanes, I think initially was to connect the west side of the map to the east side of the map, right? And it does that. But the other thing it does is it gives a like super speed advantage to any factions that are on the east or the west side of the map. So before, like being on the east or the west side meant that you had your back against the wall and you had a super safe starting position. But now having your back now starting at the edge of the map means that your back is still to the wall and you have a super safe starting position, because don't forget the AI can't use the sea lanes. But additionally to that, you also have super fast movement to wherever you want to go. Like, you know, so it's kind of like anyone that lives at the edge of the map is like super powerful movement wise and position wise, and all the factions in the middle of the map are all fucked. And it's like, not fucked, but just left behind, you know. And especially for the high elves, right? The high elves are in Ulthuan, that's right in the middle of the ocean, and they're renowned sailors, right? Sea lanes, Warhammer blog, and they're renowned sailors, right? So if the dark elves can like travel all around using their where's that second sea lanes map? Oh, here we go. Yeah. So if the dark elves can like if you're here, you can travel from there to there, you can go from there to there, you can go from here to here. Like they've got all this sea travel, right? But the high elves that are just as good as sailors as the dark elves, or even better, they can't do shit. They can just go in slow time travel, you know? So I feel like there should like at least be a sea lane that goes from like here to down to like here or something maybe, and then another one that goes from here to like there, you know? Yeah, maybe like one from here to there and one from here to there, because otherwise it's just like, you know, these factions here and these factions here have like a huge advantage in terms of position, back to the wall, safe as fuck, can just expand out from there, and you got this fast travel, you know. So yeah, anyway, that's just my thing. Oh yeah, Barak Var, yeah, you can have one from here that goes down to there as well if you wanted to. Make the vortex in Ulthuan a portal that goes to any sea lane. Yeah, maybe, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like because like Indie Pride, like more than one of his videos, he's mentioned that, you know, he thinks that they need more movement to get around the map easier, because it's like for me, I don't mind. Like I like playing as Empire in here and knowing that I'll never go to Cathay, I'll never see anyone from Cathay. Cathay basically doesn't even exist in my world, but just the fact that it does, just the fact that I know that Cathay does exist, like in the far mysterious east there's other peoples that we're, you know, are foreign to us or whatever, blah blah, like that just adds that extra bit of depth to the whole background. Like just knowing that this whole world is populated, even if I don't see every part of it, like I really enjoy that, you know. But yeah, Indie Pride's sort of point was, you know, if you're playing as Empire, like Immortal Empires is basically just exactly the same as Mortal Empires. You're not going to see any factions that you didn't see before. You're basically isolated in the middle here, you know. All these Darklands factions and Cathay and everything, they're not going to impact your gameplay at all, really. So, you know, we really need to have some sort of increased movement, teleport mechanics, more sea lanes, whatever, so that these factions can interact with each other. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily have to, from my point of view. Like I said, I don't mind if like you play as the Dark Elves and you never see Cathay, or you play as or you know, you play as Empire and you never see Lustria. Like, I feel like that's fine. That's normal. That's how it is in the actual Warhammer world, you know. But on the other hand, I can totally see the point of making some more travel options where it's lore appropriate. So as I said, I don't want portals everywhere. I don't want rifts everywhere. Doesn't make sense. It's not part of the chaos. It's not part of the Warhammer background. It never happened in the history of Warhammer, you know. So I don't want the portals everywhere like they are in Warhammer 3. But yeah, a few more bespoke travel options for at least some factions. I think that would be okay. What about full map completion as Reichland? Well, it's a sandbox game, you know, so you can do whatever you want. If you want a full map completion, that's cool, you know. That's not that never happened in the actual Warhammer background, and it's not something that interests me kind of for that reason. Like when I play Reichland, I like to just play basically defensively and just never move anywhere, you know. Azazel blog has a unit list. Does it have a unit list of the new I thought it was just a list of the new units. Yeah, no, it's just a list of the new units. It's not the whole unit list. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Dominic. But yeah, no, what I'm trying to figure out is like for example, the heroes. Like, so we're going to have Exalted Hero of Khorne, Exalted Hero of Nurgle, Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh, Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch, and we're going to have Exalted Hero of Undivided and Chaos Sorcerer of Undivided. So there's actually been like 6 heroes altogether for Warriors of Chaos. But I think there's only 2 categories still. So you can only have, there's only two hero caps of 100 hero cap or whatever. One for Exalted Hero, one for Sorcerer. So, you know, and if you're playing as Khorne, you don't get any sorcerers, right? So it's like you've almost only got 1 hero type. So I'm really hoping, so this is not their whole army list, right? This is just the army list. This is just the stuff that's being added in the DLC. So they're definitely going to have more than this. So yeah, I just want the full army list so we can see like what heroes they get basically, and what units they get. So basically, yeah, what heroes we want to get for this, and we want to know what units we get for the Monogod races. What do you think about a globe map? Like if you go east and you just come back to the west of the map? Yeah, that would have been cool, Boogie, but they didn't do that. That's why the sea lanes is like instead of the globe map. So we know there's not going to be a globe map now. There was some thought that maybe we were going to get a globe map, but now we know we're getting sea lanes instead. So definitely no globe map. But yeah, I mean, I would have been happy with a globe map. Would have been cool. Hear me out, Dwarf Airport. Yeah, well, I think the Dwarf Airport would be pretty cool. Have some, have lots of gyrocopters going everywhere. Khorne's 100 heroes is still 4 times what the Tomb Kings get. Fuck the Tomb Kings, Gavin. But no, the Tomb Kings are cool. I feel like the Tomb Kings actually still get a decent amount of heroes. Like for their faction, like it just, I don't know, it sort of makes sense in the, like Tomb Kings have just got a very limited start. Like they only have one army, and then they get 2, and then they get 3, and blah, blah. Once you start getting like 5 or 6 armies, you know, I mean, you get like 3 heroes for every army, and you can get extra hero capacity as well. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like you get a fair few heroes. Like I feel like Tomb Kings will probably have more heroes than Khorne do now. You know, like now when you play a Khorne faction, you usually only have like 2 heroes for most of the game, right? And once you get to like later game, you can, if you make a real effort to build stuff everywhere, then you can start getting more heroes. But they're not really a high, like Khorne's not a high hero faction, you know. Whereas if you play to the mid game in Tomb Kings, you'll probably have like 12 heroes, you know, which is a lot, you know. It's not a lot if you try to make armies out of heroes like a vampire spam vodcast line army, but it's a lot for a normal faction, you know, where you're mainly using military units, I reckon. But yeah, I don't know. Khorne is better than paper mache, boys. Well, yeah, in melee combat, I'd say, yeah. Hey, John. I'm so happy cultists are getting war shrines. I don't know if I'm happy about that or not. It depends what war shrines do. I'm guessing that more like war shrines are going to be kind of like chariots, but they're going to be really slow shit chariots. So, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure what war shrines purpose will be as a unit. Like, I'm assuming war shrines get sort of like magical buffing abilities or spell effects or something like that, which is their main purpose. You know, maybe they make everyone unbreakable or something, you know, they're in an aura area around them or something. Not really sure. Maybe, does anyone know what war shrines do in the tabletop? Maybe you can tell me what they're likely going to do in the game. But my point is, as like a melee, as a mount, like normally when you mount a hero, you want to take that mount in order to make them tougher or faster. Basically, those are the two things you're kind of going for. Chaos Anvil of Doom, I guess. Yeah, could be like that. Yeah, like cooldown spells that don't use Winds of Magic. I'd like to see some more stuff like that. I'm really interested to see if they change the warrior priests for the Empire, or if how they, you know, maybe if they change the warrior priests mechanic to be a bit more like runes or anything. I'm guessing they probably won't change it really significantly in the initial move into Immortal Empires, but maybe when we get another Empire DLC. What are we furiously master debating about today? This is the new blog. I've linked it in the it's a pinned comment in the chat there if you want to check it out, John. Sorry, that's not it. This is it here. Yeah. New blog about basically the design philosophy and sort of explaining the different character of the Warriors of Chaos versus the new champions, Warriors of Chaos DLC versus the Monogods from Warhammer 3. Yeah, it's pretty pretty interesting. I think it's not so much, there's a fair bit of information here, but it's not so much that there's a lot of information, it's just that I'm really, really interested, you know? So it's like, CA know how to tease us, don't they? They just give you a little bit each day just to keep you on the teat, sucking away at that teat of information. Not to derail the hype, but doesn't it feel like they are promising way too much for the launch of Immortal Empires? Hey, Krisha. I don't know. What do you mean? Like, they're not promising. They're just telling you what's going to be in the game. Like, it's not like they're saying, we're hoping that we can create all this shit in time for Immortal Empires. They're saying, this is what's going to be in the game. They're just, you know what I mean? They're not promising. They're just telling you this is what's in the game. I don't think they've officially confirmed they're putting Chaos Dwarves in the game. Well, they've said that they're going to be, their plan is to continue making content for years and years. So I think like 3 to 5 years more content for Warhammer 3. So yeah, so I think there's going to be ample time for them to put way, way more shit than they've even hinted at yet. You think we'll get a blood showcase with Valkyr? Maybe. Yeah, I don't really care about blood that much. I think the blood was really shit in the previous blood packs were really shit. Like, you guys just go into combat and then they just get covered in brown fucking goo and they look terrible. So yeah, I think I have blood turned off at the moment, completely turned off. But I think the optimal way to play it is with the blood pack on, so you get like the severed heads and all that kind of stuff, but then you have a mod that's called like less blood, less gore, and it basically lets you have all the decapitations and all that, but the actual blood spatter on your units is much lower. I think that would be the better way to do it. I've never actually gotten around to bothering to install that mod, but I should do that someday. You definitely need a less gore mod. Yeah, I think so too. I used to have it on, but yeah, whenever I was trying to make videos with close-ups, it was always screwed, so I took it off. Look, your heroes look like they've been using their face to mash berries. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. Ah, well, what can you do? But yeah, I was going to do a quick review, wasn't I? So, Azazel, yeah. Festus, more durable Law of Nurgle spellcaster. More durable Law of Nurgle spell. What's he comparing that to? So he's saying he's more durable than like a Plague Ridden or a Herald, I guess. I don't guess he's saying he's more durable than Kugath. Kugath's pretty durable, but he's also a big bullet magnet. Yeah, I'm really interested. I really want to see what it's going to feel like. These new mechanics, you know, with these being able to mark your heroes and change them into marked heroes, and getting these boons of chaos, which are kind of like big names, it seems like. I'm guessing these big names. Oh yeah, actually that's something we haven't even really talked about that much. These boons of chaos, right? I think that these are these are like big names, right? So you get a random amount of them. Like, so this guy Eglixus, he's got Mage Hunter, Oppressive Force, and Mortal Prophet, and I assume those are the only 3 he's ever going to get, but he can choose, once he's done whatever he needs to unlock them, he can choose which one he needs to get, like he wants to equip. So that means that like you've got that extra level of uniqueness. Like having traits like this scaled skin, I think gives you missile resistance, somebody said. So compared to just a normal Chaos Warrior of Shadow, Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows, this guy is different because he's got extra missile resistance, right? Especially good if you put him on a dragon later on or something, like a large mount. But then additionally to that uniqueness, he's also got these 3 boons to choose from, and you get these are from a random selection of, maybe there's 20 different ones that you could potentially get. You know, so I don't know, just I like that fact that, you know, in addition to having this, because you've got a skill tree, so you can skill him up in different ways or whatever, although not really, because you end up skilling everything by the time you get all your points unlocked. But yeah, there's these other ways that you can get a unique hero. I don't know, I just really like the idea of getting a hero and him being different from any other hero, even though he's the same type of class or whatever, you know. Like I love it in like XCOM 2, how when you get the can't remember, that special building unlocked, and then you can get like unique skills that class isn't supposed to have, and that just makes them really, you know, really exciting. Snazzy big names, nice, yeah, for sure. There are teasers showing that we'll have more control over blood effects. Ah, really? Oh, I hadn't heard that at all, Dominic. That's really good. That's a really good improvement. If they make it so you can turn down the blood effects a little bit to basically have it so you've got the less blood, less score built in to the game. Hey, the Imbued. Been a while since I caught a live stream. How's it going? Yeah, good, man. Just been going through this latest blog. I've pinned it in the chat there if you want to check it out. Luke R's turned up to claim his newsman badge. No worries, well deserved. There you go, Luke. You can give you a champion badge as well for being a champion. You'll have the teal name of the newsman. So now it's a great, with great green names comes great responsibility though. It's now your job to like seek out news and post it on the Discord. That also gives you access to post stuff in the official news channel as well. So if you see any, it's only for official news from Creative Assembly. So not stuff that the partners have released or anything like that, only if it's a Creative Assembly blog or Creative Assembly video. But yeah, you can post stuff in there. Now that you're a newsman. And I think that's all. I think that's, maybe there might be a couple of other channels that you get access to as well, I can't remember. But anyway, thank you very much for that, Luke. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have been able to rant on about this blog for the last hour or however long it's been. I kind of want to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb again, because last time I did that, I actually found a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted to talk about the same time around. But at the same time, I do want to get a good amount of dwarfing done tonight. It's already been an hour and a half we've been talking about this, so I don't know. If anyone's got any last-minute comments or questions about the blog, get them in the chat now. I'll just have a quick scan through, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, I think that I really like the idea of this. Like, they're just saying how basically they want every faction to have a really different playstyle. I hope that they still. I was talking about this the other day. Like, I hope that they do have that unique playstyle, but they still have every faction still having the core thing of what's good about the faction, you know. Well, firstly, I hope that Warriors of Chaos are good. Like, I hope that the like essential basic Warriors of Chaos gameplay loop or whatever actually does feel good. And then assuming that it does, then I hope that none of, like, as much as I want each of these factions to be like unique and have their own specific flavor and stuff, I don't want it to like screw up the basic thing of what that faction's supposed to be like, you know. Like with Lizardmen, Nakai, you know, is a good example. Like, if you really like the basic Lizardman thing of like just building armies, connecting stuff with your geomantic web, unlocking your blessed units and stuff and whatever, blah blah. Then you know, playing as Tehenoan or as Krokar or the white one, Gorok, you know, they're basically all kind of the same with their own little bit extra. Whereas like Oxyotl and Nakai are just totally different and weird. So you know what I mean? Like in the case of Oxyotl, it's amazing, it's awesome, and I basically always play Oxyotl instead of the other Lizard Lords. But in the case of Nakai, it's like, you know, if you really like Nakai's character and you think having a giant croc, what are they called? Croc dude, a giant crocodile guy as your legendary lord, and not Krokar, sorry, Nakai, but your Croxigor, yeah, sorry, yeah. If you want to have a giant Croxigor lord and you think Nakai looks like an ultimate badass, but you just want a normal empire where you can like conquer stuff like normal, then you got fucked over, right? Nakai's faction shit because it's like this weird horde faction, and so essentially you miss out on playing this cool character of Nakai because you hate that gameplay style, you know. So that's the only thing I'm a bit worried about. Like I hope that, you know, like for me, for example, I really don't like Scarbrand's style, you know. Like, I mean, I do like it as a refreshing difference from your normal gameplay, but Scarbrand's like a really weird faction. Like, he plays totally different from a normal Total War faction, you know. So my hope, for example, is that Valkyria will be a Khorne focused faction, looks cool, looks like Khorne, has Khorne berserkers, hates magic, all that good stuff that you love about Khorne, but does not have that like crazy move across the whole map in one turn, take out 10 settlements in, you know, one after another and all that kind of stuff. Like, hopefully, I'm hoping Valkyria is going to be like very Khorne themed, but still like a normal kind of a more normal faction. But yeah, we'll see how we go. They will buff Nakai a lot. They significantly buffed his items, so it looks bright for Nakai. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm pretty confident that they'll probably fix Nakai, and Nakai will now be good, kind of like how Oxyotl is good. But Oxyotl and Nakai are still not Lizardman factions. You know what I mean? Like all the other Lizardman factions. I forgot Tic Tac Toe as well. Tic Tac Toe, Krokar, Gorok, and Tehenoan. They're all like normal Lizardman factions with a little bit extra something added on. Whereas those other two factions, if you play as them, they're weird. You have to just play a totally different gameplay style, you know. And if you like that, that's fine. But if you want those characters, you know, but you want the other gameplay style, you're a bit screwed. Especially with Warriors of Chaos, because you can't confederate, you know. Hey, Luca, dab. But anyway, that's just another little rant. Yeah, I think I might just wrap it up now because I don't want to just keep going on forever and ever. And I totally can. What did Flock Monkey said? If you ever need to filibuster to delay a bill in Congress, just talk about Warhammer for 3 days straight. I totally fucking could, couldn't I? This is why, I don't know if any of you have ever read my about on my YouTube page. It basically says the reason why I'm called the Mad is because of my ability to just talk like on non-stop about Warhammer like a madman. And my old guildmates used to just used to call me the Mad because of specifically about this, me doing this in voice chat. So yeah, and literally like this, like go into a voice chat where people are talking about like WoW or something, like something else, not Warhammer, and then somebody mentions Warhammer, and then I talk about Warhammer non-stop for like an hour and a half. So I didn't really have to change my behavior to do YouTube. Basically, this is how I normally am. Thing is, it's interesting. I hope it has. I hope it has been interesting, guys. I kind of feel like I should just start. I should like end this stream and then like start a new stream again with the dwarves. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should do that actually, because I feel like that stream was kind of fucked because it's just all like me ranting on about. There's no dwarfs in it, basically. You know, it's just me ranting on about the blog. So yeah, I might quickly make a new stream, and then I'll kick everybody out of this one. The people who want to see some Warhammer 2 can jump over to the new one. That might be the way to do it. Yeah, maybe say I'll come back. If there's any more questions, just post them up now while I'm screwing around with this. I'll come back, I'll answer any more questions, and then we'll jump over to the new one. Just have to redo the visuals. I think that's fine. We'll make it start in 5 minutes. We've got enough time to do like 5 more minutes of talking. We come for the content, we stay for the rants. Yeah, that's it. You like that crazy Irishman in Braveheart? Thanks, Sam. It's my Ireland. I didn't do the it's my Ireland. I can't do an Irish accent. I can sort of do a Scottish accent, but yeah, I don't know. All right, well, where are we? We'll do a redirect to the other stream. There we go, and I'll put the link here as well. So that's the dwarf campaign. Go here now. All right, that's the new one. It's coherent. It's not. If it's coherent, it's not Scottish. Yeah, indeed. Hey Dash, welcome, man. Hey Messi, I just got here. Can you start over? Sorry, man. You'll have to go back to the start of the stream. It is the coolest IP, isn't it? I agree. Orcs are literally Scots. Wow. I reckon like the dwarves, orcs are like London football fans. But I don't know. Anyway, all right, guys. I think we've done it. I mean, we'll still probably talk more about this chaos stuff in the dwarf campaign as well. But yeah, I'm going to end this to now, and we'll jump over to the new one. So yeah, thanks for joining us for the blog discussion. And have you read about the new endgames they are developing? I'm very excited. I think it'll be like an epic. Yes, I'm super excited about that too, Simone. But we'll end this one, and then I'll jump over to the new stream, and then we'll start talking more about it over there. All right, catch you guys. Come over and join me if you want. I should have a pop-up that'll go over there for you.